Man, these things are stiff. Oh crap. What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning back in. This specific video is going to be more of an install video, just kind of showing you a quick upgrade that you can do to your transmission that will help you get more comfortable, more firm feedback from your gear shifts. On to what we got. Today I got these guys. These are actually made by Speedfactory Racing. I highly recommend them for all of your racing and performance parts, especially engine and transmission related. I would say they're definitely at the top of the game right now with all the products that they're making and coming out with. You know, I mean, they have pretty much everything you can imagine, so all the way up to, you know, a billet engine block for a B18, which is something that has never been made before. So that being said, this is one of their cheapest, simplest upgrades that you can buy. These are detent springs. These specific springs actually control the notchiness that you feel in your shifter when you're going from gear to gear, or even just moving, you know, your shifter all the way left and all the way right. When you feel it kind of click through each specific slider, or even into each gear, you know, you're going to feel that feedback in the shifter, and this is going to increase that feedback, telling you even more so like, hey, I'm in gear. These are very similar to factory. The only difference is that these are made from a different material. I believe they're a little bit longer than factory, and also these ones are obviously brand new, so they're not going to have all those years and miles of wear and tear that your original ones are going to have. Where they've already lost some of their springiness, these are really going to bring back the best shift feel that you can really get out of a factory transmission like that. Now the way these work is really simple. There's a small steel ball that actually rides in the spring itself and sits between the spring and a groove on the shift input shaft. So when you move that shaft in and out or left and right, that specific ball pops into little notches in that shaft. That's where you get that click that you feel when you select a gear. These are super easy to install, maybe 10 minutes, you know, whether transmission is in the car or not. But anyway, let's go ahead and take these out to the garage. I will show you what they look like versus the stock ones, and I'll show you how to install them. It shouldn't take any time at all, so let's go. Alright, now so I was saying earlier on in the video, this is a super easy install. You know, I only have the transmission out right now because I'm doing a transmission swap, but it makes it a lot easier for me to also like show you guys how to do this. Being that I'm not stuffed underneath the car trying to get this done. So this is actually the bottom of the transmission. That's why I'm saying this is a really easy install, because you can do this underneath the car in about 10 minutes time, like I said before. But yeah, so let's go ahead and just show you how to do it. As I just said, this is the bottom of the transmission. So these two bolts, they're 12 millimeters. You're gonna unbolt these and be really careful when you're taking them out, because inside is the spring as well as that stainless steel ball. So you don't want to lose that ball when you take these out. Let me just pull that out real quick. Now these are the bolts. When you pull them out, this is what they're going to look like. So you can see that the springs are actually sitting inside here. You can pull them out and they look pretty much just like the new ones. So this specifically, you know, we're just going to leave in there for now, but as you'll see, the balls aren't actually in there because they're still sitting inside the holes inside the transmission. So in this instance, I'm going to use a magnet to pull them out, but when you're underneath the car, if you're trying to do this, they're probably going to fall right out on your face. So you want to be really careful of that. Make sure you don't lose those things. So, all right, there's one ball. Again, stainless steel. You know, like I said before, so be really careful with these, don't lose it. And then also, there's the second ball. Pull that off, set it aside. I already kind of opened these earlier when I was messing around with them inside. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the old springs. These springs are identical. Don't worry about mixing them up. They're the exact same length, the exact same spring. So as you can see here, the top spring is the original. The bottom spring is a Speedfactory replacement. Just taking a look at them, you can kind of see that there's a difference in the coil size, coil length. However, the width is the same. There's more coils here, but it's actually much, much softer than the Speedfactory variant. Like I lost it again. Like I can barely squeeze this thing compared to this one. This one is like super, super soft, so I can almost compress it entirely aside from my shaky fingers. But yeah, this one's a lot stiffer. It's going to be a lot better than the factory one. So let's go ahead and get these installed. It's going to take about 5 seconds. Just like that. Just like that. As you can see, this bolt came out with the washer on it. Make sure you keep an eye out for these washers. The other one is on the transmission, so make sure you don't get it mixed up. You don't want to double washer it and leave one without a washer if this does happen. Now comes the trickier part. So for me, since this transmission is on the side, it's going to be a lot easier. So I'm going to actually just like put the balls in just like so, and this will actually get them out of my way pretty easily. And just like that, as you can see, they're in there now. So rethread my bolts right back in just like this. You're gonna have to put a little bit of pressure on it, do it by hand so that you don't cross thread it. And then same with this one, again, don't mix up the washers. A little bit of pressure, screw it in, and kind of feel everything click into place in there too. Now the difference here is, again, if you're on your back, you're gonna actually wanna pre-install the balls on top of the springs and feed it upwards. That way the ball, because you're not going to be able to get the ball to stay up in the transmission if you're lying on your back on the ground. Just gravity's going to spit it back out at you. So just stack it on top of the spring and then thread it in from the bottom. Just be really careful, don't let it fall off or slide anywhere. But as long as you get it inside that hole, it's not going to pop out, it's not going to go anywhere or anything like that. That's pretty much that. So we're just going to zap these puppies in real quick. Not much. Just a little, because you want to actually torque these by hand to the proper torque spec that Honda gives you. Outside of that though, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's a really simple install, so this is not going to be a problem for anybody. Like, you could do this even if you have zero mechanical experience. Super simple. Just again, make sure you torque these bolts. Torque them to spec, as Honda would do, which I'm going to do here before I install the transmission again. But make sure you get those tight. Don't leave them loose, because if that pops out, you're going to have a really bad time. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw this transmission back in, and we'll get everything reinstalled, and I'll tell you how it all feels. So you may or may not be able to tell, but this shift linkage here that I'm actually kind of hiding from you on purpose is not stock anymore. I actually replaced everything in the shift linkage assembly as well as the transmission itself during this whole process. So for now, we're just covering the detent springs. I went ahead and I dropped a microphone in the engine bay to measure the audible differences before and after the installation of the springs to give you more of an idea of what to expect when you actually install these yourself. So here are those before and after clips. So if you listened closely, you could tell that there's a decent difference before and after in terms of just the sound of the engagement, and that noise is actually going to translate really well back into physical feedback through the shifter into your hand when you're going through the gears, even just sitting still. So if you plan to drive your car in any sort of sporty way, you know, you're really going to enjoy this upgrade specifically. Even if you're just doing this by itself, you're going to have a ton more confidence in each shift. Unfortunately, I don't have any driving video right now. I do plan to do a final test drive video once all the upgrades are installed and I release the other step-by-step installation videos. So keep an eye out for that within the next few months, hopefully sooner than that. But for the meantime, I hope that the information that I provided here for you today will help you make the decision on whether or not to do this upgrade. It is something that I highly recommend to anybody who's looking to improve the shift feel on their transmission, especially if they have a sloppy shift linkage as it is and they can't afford to do anything else except for a small upgrade at this time, or if it's something that you're just looking to do in your free time because you're bored. This is what I recommend. Really simple install, really fast, and also really cheap. Doesn't really get much better than that. So thank you for tuning in once again, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.